So what I want to do is talk through this review packet with you. You actually can skip problems 1, 2, and 3 because that's what we covered in the first half of algebra. And we're going to start at number 4. If you remember, when we worked with exponents, we learned properties. And when you're multiplying, you look for the same base. So since these are both 7s, our base is 7. And then this is like saying 2 7s and 8 7s for a total of 8 plus 2, or 10. We also learned that when you have a power to a power, the trick here was to multiply, because this is like having 5 c to the third, and then we have 3 of each of these, so this would be c to the 15. We also learned that when there is an exponent outside of the parentheses, that you distribute that to both the top and the bottom. So this becomes x to the 5th to the 3rd power and y to the 2nd to the 3rd power. And now because we have a power to a power, this is x to the 5 times 3, or 15, and y to the 2 times 3, or 6. Scientific notation, remember, has one number only in front of the decimal point, so that number would belong here, so 3.45, and then we always write it times 10 to a power. Well, how many places does our decimal need to move? And that would be 6 spots. Same thing here, but this time our number is very small, so we look for our first non-zero number, which is 8.45 times 10 to the, and now we're going to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots, so it is a negative 5. When we write in standard form, we move our decimal the amount of spots that our exponent is. This is like saying 9.0. So 9.0, 1, 2, 3, 4 places, and we would fill that in for 90,000. Writing a polynomial so it decreases from left to right has to do with the exponent. So the highest exponent is first, then the next highest, and if I don't have a sign there, it's like a positive, and then the negative 6x and negative 2. The degree of an exponent comes from the highest exponent you see, which is a 6, and then there are 2 terms here, 1, 2, so just like a bicycle has 2 wheels, this is a binomial with the degree of 6. When we add, we're looking for like terms, so 3a to the 7th plus 2a to the 7th is 5a to the 7th. We have a positive 4a to the 3rd and a negative 5a to the 3rd. Sorry, my recording got jammed up there, but check your answer for number 12 here. And then remember, when you're subtracting, this is like having a negative 1 there. So if I distribute a negative 1, this becomes negative 2q to the 3rd and negative 9. Now we can combine our like terms because the rest of it is all addition. So I have a 5q to the 5th, a 6q to the 5th, which is 11q to the 5th. I have a negative 2q to the 3rd and a negative, remember again, this is like having a 1 there, which is negative 3q to the 3rd. And then I have a positive 4 and a negative 9, which is a negative 5. So same thing with number 14. This is like having a negative 1 there. So when I distribute, this becomes a negative 2b to the 3rd. A negative times a negative is a positive 8b squared, a negative 6b, and a positive 5. And now we combine like terms. So 6b to the 3rd minus 2b to the 3rd is 4b to the 3rd. 3b squared plus 8b squared is a positive 11b squared. This is the only b, so negative 6b. And then we have a positive 8 and a positive 5, which is a positive 13. Finding the product means to multiply. Some of you FOIL, some of you use the box method. Either way, it doesn't matter. You should get a first, outer, inner, last. And remember, we combine our outer and our inner, and we get a negative 1x. Again, you could have the negative 1 in there if you wanted to. Same thing, this time I'll do the box method. X plus 4 and an x plus 7. X times x is x squared. This gives me a 4x. X times 7 is 7x and 28. When we combine like terms, we get an 11x in the middle. This one is probably best to set up box method also. This time we have a 3 by 2. So we have an x squared, a negative 4x, and a positive 7, and an x and a 2. X times x squared is x to the third. X times negative 4x is negative 4x squared. X times 7 is 7x. X squared times 2 is 2x squared. Negative 4x times 2 is negative 8x, and 2 times 7 is 14. Now look at the like terms that you have to combine. So we have an x to the third, we have a negative 2x squared, a negative 1x, and a positive 14. Okay, number 18, if I'm trying to find the area of a rectangle that has a length times width, we're going to take x plus 5 times x minus 7. And when we FOIL that, we get x squared minus 7x plus 5x minus 35. Combine like terms, and that is our final answer. Now, remember with number 19, there's a trick here. What does 3x squared minus 6 actually mean? It means 3x squared minus 6 times 3x squared minus 6. I would write it out like this, then FOIL or use the box method. First, outer, inner, last, and when I combine my outer and my inner, I get negative 36x squared plus 36. Again, finding the product, FOIL, box method, 25c squared minus 30c plus 30c minus 36. And what happened to my outer and my inner is they disappeared. Finding the missing term, well, that's just taking x plus 4 squared, which means x plus 4 times x plus 4. This is my first, this is my outer and my inner, so all I'm looking for is the last. 4 times 4 is 16. Factoring, remember, means to now go backwards. We want to end up like this. So, what are my factors of 12? 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. How can I get a positive 4 from these combinations? 6 minus 2 gives me a positive 4. So I'm going to replace positive 6x minus 2x, and now factor. From the front, we get a GCF of an x. And now what times x and what times 6 gives me a negative 2x and a negative 12? That's a negative 2. So what do I have 2 of? X plus 6. And when I take them away, I have an x minus 2. To solve the equation, we're going to do the same thing. Remember, we always look for one side equal to 0. Second step is look for a GCF. The GCF here is 2g. So when I take that out, I get a g plus 10. And now I have the zero product property. Something times something equals 0. So 2g equals 0, or g plus 10 equals 0. When I solve this equation, g equals 0. And when I solve this equation, g equals negative 10. Why do I have two solutions? because of the g squared. Tell whether the equation has 1, 2, or 3 solutions. This is using the discriminant, which is the b squared minus 4ac part. Remember, if it's positive, it has 2 answers. If it's negative, it has no answers. And if the answer is 0, it has 1 solution. So A is 3, B is negative 3, C is 4. So B squared minus 4 times A times C. Negative 3 times negative 3 is a positive 9. And this gives me negative 12 times negative 48. So my answer is negative, which means no solution. When we graph, remember we have to find the vertex. To find the vertex, x equals negative b over 2a. B is the number in front of the 0, or in front of the x, and since there isn't one, it's a 0. So x equals 0 over 2 times 1, or 0. If x is 0, how do I find my y? Well, I plug it in for this equation. X is 0, 0 squared is 0, 0 plus 6 is 6, so y is 6. My vertex is at 0, 6. I also know that A is positive, so my parabola is going to point up. Because this is multiple choice, I can eliminate C and D right away. And now I can eliminate B because this is the only one with a vertex of 0, 6. If you needed to keep going, remember you can make the T-chart and find the other points. What is the greatest common factor? Well, between 42 and 12 is a 6, and between 6x's and 2x's is x squared. That's all we needed to do. We didn't even have to factor that out. All right, I'm going to stop the video here, and I will finish the video in just a second, okay?